Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Carrot and Booze. I'm back. We'll see how long this runs for. Right, very quickly, let me tell you how this all came about. First of all, I was planning on potentially doing a show tonight. I didn't prepare for it, so I probably wouldn't have done it anyway. But then what happened after I finished my daily ramble earlier on? I got a phone call from a mate, a good friend, and like I say, I can't not relay this information. The only thing I'm going to have to do, and he's probably going to be watching this shitting himself, so apologise. I probably should have done a pre-record. I can't let any names slip. I can't. I've been begged for secrecy as to who this is coming from. So yeah, let me paint you a picture anyway of what happened. So essentially, I got a phone call after the Daily Ramble earlier on. For fuck's sake! So I'm killing my earlier video now for this one to bring this news to you. And this guy basically said to me, he said, look, Nick, he said, I know you've just done your video. He said, I wish I'd have phoned you a little bit sooner. He said, but I've got some juicy information for you. He said, I've just got to share it with you. He said, I can't believe what happened this weekend. I don't know why he didn't phone me yesterday, really. And he's basically said through his missus, he went out for a drink / meal yesterday, and lo and behold, he's gone in. He's settled down, and his missus has got one of her friends there, and then out walks someone that he knows very well from the football club. And yeah, he was like, oh Jesus Christ, and carried on. Basically, long and short of it is they spent the evening together about 3-4 hours, and it turned into a bit of a booze up. I'm going to be very careful and try and slow down my speaking so I don't slip up. And yes, apparently a couple of beers in, my mate's jaw hit the floor with some of the stories that were coming out. Now this couldn't be any better. Where this is coming from, it couldn't be any better. It is coming from very much inside the club. And yes, once the beer started flowing, so there is that to take into account. They were drinking as well. But some of the stories. Now, let me try and take you through how the conversation unfolded. Try and unpick it a little bit. First of all, my mate asked this safe to say, we'll call him a chap. Asked this chap, what is the problem at West Ham? What has gone wrong at West Ham? Why is it all falling to pieces? And he said, he said 2 words: David Moyes. That is it. And he said it was that was a trigger. And he said like I said earlier on, his jaw hit the floor with some of the things that he was coming out with. He literally, it's worse than we thought. First of all, it's confirmed that it's as toxic as we've already heard about. So we've heard from people like Jacob Steinberg that it's bad inside the club. So things like that, a lot of the things that you're gonna hear here, we've spoken about before, and we've assumed and we've heard them from elsewhere, but they've all been confirmed. There are some things that I didn't know. Yes, I'm trying to be so careful here. And basically, he kind of went on. He said the feeling around the club, the coaches and the players are aligned. They literally can't stand the guy. The guy has got full control of everything. To give you an example, he was asked, who brought the players in the summer? Who was that down to? 100%, he said, that was Rob Newman and David Moyes. Every single player was Rob Newman and David Moyes. That was it was down to them. They scouted and signed every player. Apparently, it's written into Moyes' contract now that they can't literally bring anyone in without David Moyes' say so. And even if they do come to him with anyone that looked half decent, he'd turn his nose up anyway because he just wants full control. The guy's a bit of a control freak. So all of those players that we brought in first of all were Moyes and Newman signings. Okay. Asked whether the where it went wrong recently, with set pieces, for instance, And to give you an example, he said, well, what we had was, way back when we were successful, we had, I think it was Nolan, and we had, was it Nevin or McKinley who were on set pieces, whoever it was, they were basically the set piece specialists. They were the reason that we was carving it up. And then what happened for no one really knows why. David Moyes decided to change it up this year, and he took them off of set pieces. So they've been removed from set pieces. David Moyes claimed control of set pieces this season. No one knows why. There's been lots of questions asked. Nobody knows why. He's just trying to change things. I think there was something that was in the conversation of David Moyes didn't want to be known as a club that only scores from set pieces or nonsense like that. What? So you just stop scoring from set pieces? Bit fucking weird, isn't it? The other thing as well, you know, the reference Brighton, the Brighton game, and they said that the coaches and the players are aligned with the fans in every way. They are every bit as frustrated. They feel guilty. They feel terrible. They feel just as frustrated as a fan base watching what is going on. And what they said was, watch the next time one of the coaches goes up to David Moyes mid-game, because what happens is, apparently the dynamic is they're all watching it. They get briefed before they go out, but then they can all see it unfold, and they just can't hold it back. They're like, "Fucking hell, Dave, this isn't working. We've got to try and change something." And they will go to David Moyes with an idea, with an instruction, something like that. And apparently, the David Moyes' reaction is pretty much, "Fuck off! You don't know what you're talking about." That's how he talks to more or less everyone, including his first team coaching staff as well. He doesn't listen to anyone. The only person he had any respect for, and this is who it's very much regarded and known within the club, who was the mastermind behind the early success, was Irvine. Irvine was the one that basically he made everything tick. He was David Moyes' confidant. He was his eyes and ears. For whatever reason, David Moyes respected him. He listened to him, and he's regarded within the club as Irvine was the reason why we had that early success. Ever since he's gone, it's gone to shit. They asked him. Now this surprised me. They asked him about Stuart Pearce. Stuart Pearce been a big miss since he's gone? No. Apparently Stuart Pearce was just Moyes' mate. That's all he was. He did fuck all. Apparently Stuart Pearce did nothing. The players didn't overly like him. The rest of the coaching staff didn't overly like him either. He was just literally there as a kind of a bit of a wingman for David Moyes. So that surprised me. But no, apparently he hasn't been missed. I mean, obviously, look, this could have just been that this guy didn't like Pearce. I don't know, but this is what I've been told. Yeah, so you've got that, you've got the set pieces, you've got the toxicity within the club. You've got everything else as well. And he said, well, what's with all these players that have been brought in? With all these players that have been brought in, what is the reason? Why isn't it working? You know, like these players, are these players as bad as they look? Like Paqueta was used as an example. And this guy said he's Paqueta. He used Paqueta as Paqueta and Scamacca. Now, bearing in mind, there's a lot of us within the fan base that are a little bit perplexed with those two. They haven't really pulled up many trees. They look good. We're seeing them in glimpses. But we're getting a little bit, are they really for the Premier League, this, that, the other? Apparently, these guys can do things on the pitch that have never been seen before at West Ham. And this is this kind of, or I suppose maybe they weren't there when Pyatt was there, this lot, I don't know. But they basically said these guys are a different fucking level. They are amazing, but they can't play the way that David Moyes wants to play in a team. They've never been asked to play this way before. They've never been asked to play in a team like this before. It's got nothing to do with the league. It's purely due to the fact that David Moyes has brought these players in and he's just trying to get them to be something that they're not, which is what we see an awful lot. And yeah, using Paqueta as an example, this guy said, on my life, I've never seen, he's been in the game a long time. He said, I've never seen a player like him. He said, I've never seen a player like him. He's unreal, like outstanding. So we've got a player like that and Scamacca. So it doesn't seem like it's a personnel that have come in. Right, hang on a minute. I've just had another text. Right, no, it was Nevin. So it was Nolan and Nevin that were the set piece specialists. They were the ones that were the set piece specialists when it was going well. He's obviously watching. He's updated me. So it was Nolan and Nevin that were the set piece specialists when it was going well. Then they were just removed. They were just removed from that duty altogether. Why would you do that? What fucking why? One thing that's working. Why would you remove that? It makes no sense at all. So yeah. So look, bouncing backwards and forwards. I know because I'm just trying not to trip up, not to not to slip up. I think I've done all right so far. He ain't screamed at me. So yes, it's far worse. Apparently, it's far worse than we can imagine. Now, what this phone call did was this prompted me to phone someone else that I know that's given me a bit of information before, but that's been a bit cagey lately, and I know he's got amazing insight into the club and everything else. So what I did was, because I tried as best I could to sort of clarify this information, even though this is coming from a mate, you just want to kind of, yeah, I tried to do my best to get it clarified, because obviously it's not from an official source, but this is as far as I'm concerned, this is as good as that person talking to me directly. Okay, but I just wanted to see if I could get a little bit more meat on the bone, and yeah, this other character. Once I told him the information that I got, he'd gone fucking hell, and he called the person that it was straight away. He went, "I know who it is. I didn't confirm it." And he said, yeah. He said, honestly, he said, there's leaks coming out left, right, and centre. He said, you've got players, fucking everyone from the academy to kit men to coaches, everyone's had enough. And they don't even care about these stories getting out there now. They're so sick and tired of it. They're sick and tired of working in this fucking regime that's in there at the moment. And it's just so much worse than what we thought. You know, the only positive is, because what he said was, he said, look, how come, you know, we're still seeing the odd occasion where, you know, you've got players that are coming out and it still looks like they're playing for the manager, and it basically reinforced what I said before. They're not. The players and the coaching staff and everyone else, unlike Moyes, who does not give two shits about the fans, by the way. This is the information I got from the other source. David Moyes does not give a fuck about us. He treats us with utter contempt, doesn't care what we think. The coaching staff and the players do. They do care. They want to play for us. They want to entertain us. They want to do this. And that is a reason why every now and then you get in the players coming out and they are trying to give everything. And apparently it's killing them on a personal level as much as anything else. They believe that we've got the best support around. You know, they reference the away support to follow us everywhere. And they just want to try and do the best. And apparently the arguments that they've been having at half-time where players have been going in there and causing fucking mayhem because of the embarrassment of the tactics that they're being asked to play. They go in there, apparently there's tables being flipped up, and it's like, just fucking let us play. Let us go out there. They've followed us all the way down here. Why can't we just do this? What are you doing? And the guy does not care. Apparently, well, like I say, this character in particular has been in the game an awful long time. He will have seen all manner of characters, and he said he's never seen anyone as narcissistic as this guy, as Moyes. He's never seen anyone like him. He's awful. And he asked him, he said, well, is he going to get sacked? Well, he said, say, for instance, if Southampton were to beat us, you know, would he get sacked? He said, well, unless it was a heavy loss, probably not. And he said, bear in mind, I'm not saying that as from a position of knowledge. He said, I'm not saying that because I've spoken to Sullivan or anything like that, because he said hardly anyone at the club does talk to the board, you know. He said Moyes just about to talk to him. He said, so we don't know that. He said, it's a feeling that we get. He said, we're as in the dark as the rest of the fans. He said, we don't fucking know. The players don't know. The coaching staff don't know. The kit men don't know. No one knows. But he said the feeling is that they've stuck with him for this long that he could just carry on losing. And what they're thinking is that they've heard a murmur within the club that if he was to get knocked out of Europe, they'd get rid of him. But that's not fucking likely, is it? Look who we're playing. We're playing Ghent. So he could theoretically lose the next 3 games by marginal defeats, 1-0, and still be in charge. I don't know. It is bizarre what is going on at that club. The other contact that I spoke to earlier on, because obviously I went back and forth, and I said, look, have they been taking this further? Have they been taking this to the board or to Noble? I'll talk about Noble in a minute. Have they been doing that? Have they been relaying their frustrations internally? And apparently, yes. And apparently it's met with the same disdain that David Moyes meets everyone else. He is like a mirror image of them. They don't care. So there isn't really anyone there. I'm not saying Noble's that person, by the way. Like I say, I'll talk to him, talk about him in a minute. But yeah, effectively, effectively, David Moyes, David Sullivan, they don't care. They truly don't give. I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat, making sure I'm trying to be so fucking careful what I'm saying. I've got me text going as well. I'm all right. That's good. Yes, but they don't care. So the messages have been relayed. Senior players, senior source, everyone's been going up there constantly a lot, talking about everything from from the reasons that we're failing, from players that are being bullied, from this, that, the other, because that's been going on as well. I think we can guess who's been getting the brunt of that. But apparently, there's been a lot of that. There's been a lot of players being singled out and stuff like that. Players don't like being singled out in the press, and it isn't the players that are being singled out; it's the rest of them. Apparently, when say for instance, Aguirre got singled out, this caused a massive argument. Apparently, when Aguirre got singled out in the press after that game, apparently that caused a massive row the next day in the training ground with people like Deck and someone else going, what the fucking hell are you doing that for? Why are you throwing him under the bus? He knew he had a bad game. What did you need to go and do that for? So it feels like there's a togetherness in the squad, in the team, but not anything to do with the manager. It's like they're trying to do their best, but they're fighting against him. So this is a real bizarre situation. And like I say, this is a far more harrowing picture than what we've been painted before by the likes of Jacob Steinberg and everything else, who's probably heard all of this as well. Of course he has, but he's obviously got people like that have got to word things a little bit differently. We're not governed by the same principles. We don't. We just say what we hear and we relay it on. But it's awful. It is toxic what is going on, and how can he still be there? And how can they come out and say, "Oh, we're doing everything that we can to avoid relegation"? Everything, we'll this is awful. Now, when you look at it on paper and you look at us, you think, yeah, we're too good to go down. We are. But how many other clubs that we're going up against at the moment have got this much internal chaos going on? It must be impossible to be part of that environment at the moment. It's got to be. You added to that, you've got the Soufal interview as well, where he said you've got old players and new players that are not agreeing, this, that, the other. We've clearly got no figures there now that have knitted anyone together. Clearly got no figures. What's this one here from Lucas? Hang on, mate. This is like an episode of Desperate Housewives. Pity it's West Ham. Mate, it's so bad. I thought I'd heard it. Oh, I could not believe what I was hearing. Thank you very much for the money, mate, as well. I could not believe what I was hearing. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And yeah, it's. I mean, let me know what you think. I mean, like I say, bearing in mind this is as good as a contact gets. So don't. Yeah, I can't tell you who it's from, but yes, it's a fucking. It couldn't be from a better source. It might as well be from David Moyes himself. Even though he'd paint a very different picture. But yes, so it's. It's terrible. It is so bad. It's so bad. I mean, look, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll open up the phone lines to see if anybody does want to call in just very quickly. I can't make this a really, really long one tonight. Let me pair the phone first because it'd be good to actually talk to someone about it, to be quite honest. One moment. Right, that's connected. And have I got my phone number on here? I don't know whether I have, I'm an amateur, and what's this one? That's the one. Yeah. So if you do want to phone in on that number, give me a call. Let me know what you think about what you've just been told, because like I say, I weren't really planning on coming on tonight or anything like that. But after getting that news, I just thought, fucking hell, it was ridiculous. I got Will Doyle saying, just admit it's Nolan Nick. Oh, mate, I can't tell you who it is, but no, it's not, mate. It's. I'll just say you're not a million miles away. You're not a million miles away. Right, here we go. Where are we? Who we got? Hello? Hello, can you hear me? Oh, has my thing gone funny again? Hello, is that Gary?
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm very well, mate. I'm all right. I'm just going to see why ain't me. Whenever I do this, it says it ain't connected. That's why. Right, 1 minute. Let me try again. Get you on the phone. 1 minute.
Okay.
Right, I can hear you in my ears now. Gary, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Hey, that's it, mate. I can see you're on there now. Right, Gary, what are your thoughts on what you've just been told?
It's just one big wind-up, Nick. It's it's what we've all feared really for a long time. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. I mean, you can have the best players technically out of the teams in the bottom 9, but if you're not pulling together in the same way, it's not just about skill anymore and talent. It's about getting stuck in and grit and togetherness. And it seems to be that it's Moyes is totally isolated from the rest of the club. The rest of the players, anyway.
But in what world would this be allowed to play out? So towards the end of the season, you've got the entire. I mean, we're loitering. We're in the bottom 3 at the moment. In what world, on what planet, if you own this club, looking at what it's going to cost West Ham, would you even believe that we're not being hamstrung by this situation? Because it says what we've said all along is just remove that problem. Because I've said it. I know it's a bit strong. I said he's a cancer for the club, but I said remove him. Remove the cloud. Let's call him a cloud. Remove the cloud from the club. That will give them a bit of an uplift because this is what the guy went back to, and he said as well. He referenced back in lockdown. He said if you go back to lockdown when Moyes had COVID, he said have a look at those 2 games that we played there. He said he had no bearing on those games as well. Apparently he tried to affect it from his remote locations, but basically they just did their own thing. And I think who was that? Billy McKinley and Nevin or Nolan. I can't.
Was it Irving?
It might have been Irving, but if you remember,
Irving.
But even within the club, they said it was refreshing because we just told them to go out there, play their game, play their football, took the shackles off, we played a lot more expansive, and apparently there was a real shitstorm. Even though we won the games, there was a bit of a shitstorm when Moyes was back in because they didn't follow exactly his instructions to the T.
Those 2 games,
even though it worked.
Yeah, those 2 games we beat Wolves at home 4-0 and one at Leicester 3-0, didn't we? Back to back.
Yeah. It was Irvine. There you go. Yeah.
I'm surprised, Have you ever been surprised the club haven't approached Irvine about becoming the manager? Because obviously he had a real respect for the players and a real connection there to beat.
Doesn't that
incredible?
But doesn't that go back to the Glenn Roeder thing, where Glenn Roeder was an amazing number 2 and he was brilliant. Everyone loved him. He was a brilliant coach, but then he wasn't a manager. So maybe it doesn't.
Maybe other 2. Yeah, maybe. You never know, will we?
Yeah.
But the thing is, you just cannot believe, really. The thing I find even more amazing is Sullivan, the board. If it's coming back to all this, I mean, you talk about the new manager bounce, Nick. This would be a double bounce if we got rid of him. It'd be like you can imagine the team just being let loose, unleashed, And I said to you the other week, I think if he'd been gone and we had another guy manager in, I don't think it would have mattered that much who it was.
No.
You would have got a reaction. Definitely. You said yourself, anyone but Moyes.
Mate,
I think you're right.
I believe that. And that was another question that was asked, right? So this is the other thing, because you would imagine succession planning, yeah? So you would imagine that a club being in a position that they're in, we've spoken about it's too late to bring another manager in. So you would have thought that at this point, they would have started to prepare internally. They'd have been talking to people internally. Now, if they were, they'd have been talking to these people, right? Apparently, there's nothing. There is nothing. They're not talking to anyone. There's no prep, so no one's being queued up. And this was one more thing I wanted to say earlier on, and that was because I said to him, did you speak to him about Noble? And he went, yeah. Funny enough, I did. So he asked him about Noble, and apparently he just didn't want to talk about it. He just kind of no. What it is as if to say it's not Noble. It's not.
You can't imagine this happening in any other Premiership, any Premier League club. When you think this is the most the best league in the world, and to risk everything. I mean, you say 12 games is not enough for a new manager, but I mean, how many points is that up for grabs? What's that? 36 points?
Mate, there's a lot to play for. We've done this before, and this is the thing. There are a lot of points to play for. Yes, we've got some we've got some hard games to play. I know we have, but we've got a lot of winnable games. And we've done this before, and I don't think it would take a massive push this season to get us over the line, because you won't need 40 points this year. I think 35, 36 will see you safe.
36.
Yeah, it will see you safe.
Any team at that bottom 9 puts two wins together, or even like 2 wins and a draw.
Yeah,
we'll start to pull yourself out of it a bit. The trouble is, of course, we've got this big game, and we talk about must-win games, but this is a must-win game, Southampton.
Yeah.
The draw's no good. You've got to win this. Not that, if we lost it, like Nigel said, we could still stay up. It would be the psychological damage it would do to the fans and the players, Nick.
But how frustrating is it, though, that we've clearly got a great bunch of players there? We've got a great bunch of players that want to do the job for the club. They work for the club, for the team. We've even got like coaching staff. They're fighting for the fans and for everything else. They're not just collecting their pay packets. They wouldn't give it, because at the end of the day, Moyes is the one who's going to take the fall for it. But they're all fighting him.
Can I ask you a question?
Everyone is fighting him. They're fighting him. They're saying, for fuck's sake, it doesn't need to be like this.
What if all the players as one went up to the board and said, "We're not playing for this man"?
Well,
I'm not going on strike, obviously, but I mean, if things have been painted as bad as they are, and it comes across as shocking, really, doesn't it?
It does.
People listening to you tonight, sitting here like I was sitting here, and I'm thinking, it's such a simple thing to remedy, to put right. It's not. This is the frustrating part about it, Nick. Because it's not like the team split. You've got factions there.
Because look,
get rid of him and
look. It proves that the players are they are playing for the fans. They do want to do a good job. So it isn't like if you remove Moyes, someone's going to have a massive job to do. I don't think they are. I think there are far harder jobs than keeping West Ham in the Premier League this year. And I truly believe that. We've only got to get 2 or 3 wins, and we're going to be all right. We're going to be okay. And that's not to say that we're not going to do that in spite of David Moyes. But why have we got to go into Southampton with this this massive ball and chain? The message is clearly just dragging everyone down. Why would they do this to the club?
I don't know.
To the team?
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'm intrigued by this relegation. As you know, I've been pushing you for weeks about. I've been seeing other fan channels do it. I've been intrigued and also terrified by this. I've never known a season with 9 teams involved and 4 points separating them. It's unbelievable.
Mark Watson.
Can you remember a season like it? I can't.
No, I can't. No, never. Not this bad. Not 4 points separating 9 teams at this point in the season. But Mark Watson's just said in the chat. He said, dictatorships, which is what this is, can only be dislodged by a coup from within, which is what you're talking about. Which is basically. Yeah. And do you know what? Would you all support that in the chat? Would you?
Yeah.
Would you like? Yeah. I think I would. If it's as bad as what's being painted, would you support the players going, do you know what? Fuck this. We're not doing this. We want to. We'll sacrifice a game, even though we'd probably end up incurring a points deduction if we did something like that for not fulfilling the fixture. But
it would work if Sullivan backed down, wouldn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. It'd work if Sullivan backed down. It's a hell of a gamble to take. Listen, one other thing. I was watching the show last night with Gary, and I missed you last night, though, Nick. But did you have a good? How was the curry? How was the Indian?
Very nice, mate. Very nice indeed.
Yeah. I was going to say to you, I know it's your son's birthday, wasn't it? So,
yes. His 14th birthday. I got both my boys down.
I was going to say, there was a conversation on there last night. Of course, there's no phone in, and Gary and John were talking about a system to play 2 attacking players. And they said, obviously, you can't do it in a 4-4-2, because of the obvious reasons, being overrun. But there is another. They were saying, 3-5-2, but there is another way around that, a 4-1-3-2. So you had your back 4, Declan sitting there as a holding, or Downs as a holding, 3 midfield players, including to be number 10, and 2 out-and-out strikers.
But Gary, us going through talking about fucking shapes and stuff like that while this guy's still in charge is pointless, because he's not going to do anything cutting edge. He isn't going to use those players.
I was just thinking about what they said, that's all.
Yeah, because on the video I made earlier on, the thorn in Moyes' side, one of the big reasons why he ain't made this progression this season to a passing game is because of his refusal to select a team full of passing players. How can you play a possession-based game if you've got players in the team that can't pass, you physically can't do it. You're introducing problems into your own plan, flaws in the game. And by putting Suchik in there and sticking with him the whole time, that is, I do think he's been a big problem. And I don't blame Suchik for that, by the way. I really don't. It isn't his fault. He's an honest player, honest, hard-working player. If he gets told to go out and play, he'll go out and play. But it's fucking wrong. It's so wrong what he's done. And do you know what? A part of me thinks, is he really this bad? Is he honestly this bad, or is he trying to get a payoff now? I really don't know.
The trouble is, we've got to make these games his own games. We've got to turn it into a fortress. We've got to, because when Leeds are at home and Everton at home, you can bet your life their fans will be right behind them. And we've got a Sunday kick-off, 2:00 on a Sunday. We can't have one of them submissive atmospheres. We've got to go. The fans have got to realise now this is like cup finals.
Yes.
And they've got to get, it's got to be like a nighttime atmosphere almost.
Yeah,
because
I know.
Looking at the fixtures, I mean, I think, funny enough, what Nigel said is true. It's the West Ham way. We've got, after these 3 games, we've got Southampton, Newcastle. We've got to take minimum 4 points from those 2. A point from Fulham, maybe more. Who knows? Then you've got your Arsenals, the Liverpools, and Man United at homes. And I think we can. I think the one we can win is Liverpool at home, because their away form this season has been pretty poor.
Yeah, mate. Look, it could, but the issue that I've got, the problem that I've got here, as we all know, I think Joan mentioned in the chat earlier on, and she's normally right. She's normally right. Because I said that the theme of my video earlier was, if we lose to Southampton, I think we're done. That was the same theme of my video. Yeah. And Joan was right. She was saying, well, not always the case. Still a lot of points to play for. And and what she said was, she said, like, West Ham of old, we'll go up against Liverpool, we'll go up against Arsenal, we'll get results, we'll get those wins where we're not expecting it. But we ain't doing that this season, because we're springing no surprises. There ain't been one. We ain't springing one surprise for over a year.
So what do you think then? I mean, in terms of the fans, and in terms of what's been said tonight and what's come out, what are the fans? This is the trouble. It's a very difficult knife edge thing. Do you demonstrate before the game on mass, Moyes out, and then get behind the team once the game starts?
Oh, I don't know. Mate, we really don't want to get relegated, so I don't think we should do that. I don't think we should, because the thing is... No,
but what I'm saying to you is, as the fans, I'm not criticising any individual fan, but as a fan base, have we done enough to put pressure on Moyes?
No, but
Sullivan?
It's too late now, though. I think for us to do, we're in that relegation fight, which is a bit near the end now, where it's too late. I think if we were going to protest, it should have been just after the World Cup. It should have been. It should have been when there was still time. When there was still time to save the season.
And the funny thing is, all with our own form, that's keeping us really giving us a chance, because, like Nigel said the other night again, we haven't lost in this year at home. It's we've been pretty good. It's the away form that's pretty shocking. We've got to we've got to start changing that. We've got to start picking up your point here and there.
Yeah, we have.
Because that could be the difference.
We have. But
the one thing in our favour is, I think it could come. It could be so tight. I think this could come down to goal difference in one of them places, and our goal difference is better than most of them. It's only Leicester, I think. I think it's Leicester. It's the only one.
It's a big gamble. It's a big gamble. I mean, for me, I'm going to stick to my guns. Yeah, I'm going to stick to my guns. I think if we lose to Southampton, which to me is inconceivable, because I don't think. I think we're going to be up for that. I think those players, if the information I got earlier on, which is the players are definitely on board. That they want to do this for the. For instance, Declan Rice was mentioned, and the guy is driven and he's heartbroken that it's gone so bad for him this season as a captain.
He will not want to leave.
No,
he will not want to leave. No,
he's fucking heartbroken. He's fuming that it's gone this bad. And apparently he's been one of the main people that's been kicking off with Moyes and going up and talking to people and stuff like that. He's been trying his best, but there isn't really anything he can do. But they are hamstrung. They're hamstrung by him.
Nick, would you like to be in a room with Sullivan on a 1-to-1 and say, "What the fuck are you doing"?
No, because I don't think I could speak coherently to him. I'd lose my temper, because. Having said that, I could do, because from what I've been told about Sullivan does listen. So maybe the guy is just misinformed. Maybe he just trusts people too much. I think what he's done is, I think he's placed so much trust. I think he stumbled onto Moyes by accident. No one. That it wasn't a plan that David Moyes was going to be brought back in, and we were going to go on this really, really good 18-month, 2-year stint. That weren't part of the plan, so they couldn't believe their luck, which is why they've
he
tried
had
to tie him
credit,
down.
boys, but he's used it up now. It's well and truly used up.
Yeah,
and you can't keep going on about what he done 2 years ago. I mean, after all, Leicester won the league and got rid of Ranieri the following season. You know, they won the FA. You know, and you can't keep on with this. I mean, we've got to deal with now. I mean, yes, Moyes, we've had 2 good seasons under him, no doubt about it. No one denies it. But this has gone on really. This form has started November. Look, back in almost over a year ago, we beat Liverpool 3-2 at home. We had an international break. Then we lost at home to Wolves. And ever since that point, with the team in the league, it's never been the same.
Yeah.
From that point, you can trace it back to that game. That's when it started.
Yeah, no, I know.
So,
I know. It's bizarre, mate.
It's a long time. It's a long time.
It's a long time. But look, I'm going to see if anyone else wants to phone in, Gary. Before we go, I'll let you have.
Yes,
I'll let you have one more thing. Go on, one more thing, Gary. What would you like to say?
One more thing. One more thing. Yeah. I'll say if we stay up, Nick, we'll have to get Gary and John out. All go out for a curry, mate. Have a good old piss up. The poppadoms are on me.
I'll be smashing the poppadoms that night. You know, It will feel like it will feel to me at this moment in time. Survival is going to feel like a bit of a cup win to me. I know it's not or anything like that, but people don't realise. They think I'm just being miserable for the sake of it. I'm genuinely fearful that we're going to get relegated. I am. I'm not putting it on. I'm fucking shitting myself.
Yeah, what I would say to you, I've looked at this a lot. I've been looking at this. I'm getting a bit obsessed with this relegation fight. I think Southampton and Nottingham Forest are going to go, and I think possibly Bournemouth. Out of them 3, I think Bournemouth have got the best chance of getting out because they can score goals. If Bournemouth do stay up, I think you're looking for one from us, Wolves, and Palace.
Yeah.
I think Wolves' form's dropped again. They've got right back into it.
Yeah.
They've lost at home to Leeds and Bournemouth in the last couple of weeks. And Palace, we've had this conversation the other day, me and you, didn't we? They can't score goals. And I know Hodgson's come in, and I know we disagreed about the Vieira thing. You thought it was the right move.
I know all these things about all these other clubs, Gary. But tell me one other club that are in as much turmoil as West Ham. After what you've heard tonight, how many other clubs are in as much turmoil as us?
No, they're not. And most of them had new managers come in. I mean, the Southampton managers come in and they've picked up results. No, you're right. Everton, Leeds, they're all picking up points. Palace have changed their manager now.
Yeah.
But bottom line is, Nick, if the players are together, at the end of the day, they've got some say in it, you know, and
I know
they could go out and just ignore him, couldn't they?
They could do, mate.
What's he going to do?
Yeah, well, I think we've been seeing that anyway. I think we've been seeing that from the likes of Ben Rama. I'm certain that Ben Rama's just been playing his own game for the last year. I think he has. I think
he's been playing for the fans.
I think Ben Rama's made a conscious, because he was getting suffocated by Moyes. I think he's made a conscious decision just to go out there and the thing is, if you're in an environment where there's so much turmoil and all the team are kind of against the manager and the coaching staff are and everyone else, it's easier to ignore the manager. You can just go, oh, do you know what, fuck off, mate. I'm going to do what I want. And he's been going out there and he's been playing his own game. Yes,
that Southampton game. That's on a Sunday, isn't it? 2:00.
Yeah.
That must be on Sky then, mustn't it? Because
I think it will be.
We only normally play on a Sunday. Yeah, we're not in Europe this week, so it must be on Sky, I reckon. Are you going Sunday?
I am going to go on Sunday. Yes, I'll be there on Sunday.
Oh, yeah?
I can't wait. To be fair, I'm actually looking forward to it. So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see what happens. But anyway, Gary, thanks for the call, mate. Thanks for phoning me up for a chinwag.
Cheers, mate. Take care, Nick.
Cheers, mate. See you later.
Bye.
Right, I'll leave the number up for a little bit more, just in case anyone does want to phone in. Where are we? There it is. Let's go for a few comments. There's loads of them, so I'm going to start a little bit further up. Where are we? Here's a name that I can never. I'm just going to call you Gaming. In all honesty, the teams around us, including Southampton, have a bit of fight about them. They do. This is a thing, and as Gary mentioned earlier on, we've got that. They've got that. They've replaced their manager. Oh, hang on a minute.
Alex Bailey.
Here we go.
Mate.
Oh, hang on, mate. One second. Let's remove that. Right. Is that Alex?
It is.
Hello, Alex. You right? See, I've got you saved in my phone. See, I know you are. There you go.
I'm flattered.
There you are.
I'm flattered.
Thanks for calling in, mate. Thanks for calling in.
No worries.
Have you watched the whole show? I'm not going to repeat it. I know a few people have joined late. I can't risk saying it all again because I'm worried I'm going to trip up. So you'll have to just watch it back.
No, that's fair enough. it's sort of about that. I mean, the point I was going to make is I joined about 2 minutes in, so I got what I believe to be all of it, but
Yep.
possibly not. Didn't mention if this guy had been to anything about Noble, if he revealed if his job is just a joke, or if he does have any power, or he didn't mention it.
All I got was when he was asked about Noble, he moved swiftly on through the conversation back to Moyes. Didn't want to talk about Noble.
Oh, fair enough. Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
So it kind of he didn't want to sort of. It was apparently he was very clear he didn't want to talk about Noble. That's
even more cryptic, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I know. But no, not in a bad way. It's just he said very, very clearly that the club is in disarray. And he said the problem is David Moyes, but no one's willing to do anything about it. I mean, thinking about it? I mean, just say that it is as bad as what this guy has painted it. If it's as bad as that, how in the fucking God's name? How must it feel to be playing as, say, you're Declan Rice? You know, this is your first year as a captain. You've got all these players that we've just brought in. It's as big a failure for him as it is for Moyes. He's going to feel that way. How would you feel if you was Rice there at the moment? Because he's going to want to leave on a high, isn't he?
He must feel like he's been really unfairly stitched up with a responsibility far beyond any one person's control, let alone someone of his age. What is he, 24, something like that? That is a big fucking mess to be expected to sort of be responsible for and clean up. I don't know. It's weird. You get all these conversations of people talking about how pissed off they are about Dec flirting with other clubs and stuff. But if the situation is that bad, then fucking he'll hate his time with us if this is the sort of ending it's going to have for him.
And when you look at that, because yes, we're all aware there's any 3 of 9 teams can go down. There's 4 points in it, but I asked Gary, how many of those teams are in the same situation as us in terms of this toxicity? Fair enough, we're better off. We've got better players than most of them, but when you add into the mix the manager who is tactically clueless at the minute, and this fucking environment that those players have got to operate in, how are we better off than those teams around us?
I mean, I've rarely ever heard of a situation where tables are being thrown and there's possibly 1,000 people in a building that all hate one person who gets the say over everything. Like I don't think there's not a club anywhere near that sort of level of disarray that we're fighting against this season. So it's going to be a miracle to sort of pull through.
The big one for me, right? The big one for me was the only thing, because of Sullivan, and we know his history, and we know the type of control freak that he is. I still kind of had my doubts about these players that have come in. I thought, they're Sullivan specials. He's gone out. He's got these over the line himself. He's done this. He's brought them in and dumped them on Moyes. But that was completely poo-pooed. It was like no. It's the only one there was a question mark over was Ings. I think Ings might have just been brought in as an emergency lifeboat signing in January as a striker. But all of the summer signings were David Moyes and Rob Newman. They'd all been scouted. That was their players. Now, how the fuck? First of all, that is bad, because 50 million Paqueta, right? Our club record player. He didn't even know where he played.
Yeah,
he didn't even know. He had to wait. Number 10. He had to wait until he watched him in the World Cup to see where he should use him. I mean, come on.
I think he got confused by the number on the back of his shirt.
Mate, it is so bad. I mean, John's asked a question there. Who's the biggest circus, us or Spurs? I mean, there ain't much in it. I've got to be honest. The only thing is they're sitting 4th in the bloody league, aren't they?
Yeah,
that's a difference.
Yeah, and you don't hear stories of that level. In that one, in their sort of story, Conte was quite obviously the madman, and everyone knew it. And whether you agreed with some of the things he said, he was like the big spectacle, and everyone sort of knew it. Whereas this sort of story that you've been told about, no one knows this. Like this isn't the big media portrayal. The portrayal is, oh, Moyes is the guy to get us out of it. Oh, he's great. All the pundits and ex-footballers and all that love him. And we're sort of silently sitting here, the fans going, this guy's fucking mental and he's driving our club like crazy. And everyone out there saying, oh, you should be grateful for him.
Yeah, I know. But this is because they don't really know what's going on. This is the thing. I think when you're, but it is going to start leaking out. This is obviously how Jacob Steinberg got hold of the story, the exclusive, which he released about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. Because when you started getting players and members of staff and stuff like that are coming out and they're just talking to basically look. I mean, this is whoever this was talking to someone who's quite random who they've not met before. It's the first time they've met. So these stories are going to keep on coming out, and they are. And it must almost be a collective. Like, do you know what? I'm fucking done with this. I don't care who gets to hear this. I really don't.
Pretty desperate. I really don't care. First.
Yeah. The
only thing it does, the very small silver lining is if this does all sort of kick off and eventually Sullivan becomes self-aware, it makes me more confident that he might sell, because man of his age, obviously the unfortunate things that happened to David Gold this year, he must look at himself in his 70s and think, this is too much fucking stress. Like, this is an absolute fucking disaster and I just need to fuck off and not be a part of it.
Well, I mean,
this is a right mess.
Yeah, well, I think there's every chance he's going to sell up in the summer anyway. I don't care what anyone says. The embarrassment clause has expired. That's gone. He's free to do what he wants. We know that there might be an issue with the shares that have obviously they're being held in trust that have been left behind by David Gold. This might have thrown a spanner in the works. We don't know. But I'm pretty certain that was always part of the plan. But listen, relegation will slam the brakes on that, because Sullivan will be worth. You could wipe 300-400 million off of our club's value if we get relegated. That's what will happen, and he won't sell. He won't sell us for a couple of 100 million. He's not going to. He'll wait. He'll leave it a year, 2 years, or however long it takes us to get back up. And then when we're back in the Premier League, that's when he'll sell. To be honest, that's when I'd sell. That's when you'd sell. You wouldn't sell at a loss. But I don't know. I mean, Garino's just come up with a question here in the chat, and he said, would anybody take a heavy defeat against Southampton if it meant a P45 for Moyes? I mean, would that...
No.
I know.
Because, Nick, you and I have sat here on the phone when Leicester happened and said, would you lose to Leicester if it meant you went? And we said yes. And he lost to Leicester and he was still here.
Yeah, I know.
The only reason I don't play that game anymore is because I know even if you play into it and you say, oh yeah, take a massive loss, you get bewildered by the fact that the report of him being sacked doesn't come out, and then suddenly weeks later you're like, how the fuck is he still here?
I know. But I tell you, how bad is it though? You know, this guy basically said that in terms of internally, in terms of sort of playing staff and coaching staff, they're as in the know as us. They don't know what the fuck's going on. They haven't got a clue what's going on. There's loads of questions being asked, but no one's getting any answers. Everyone's being kept in the dark. Everyone's getting the same. Do you know, like the answer that Sean Whetstone typically gives us when I get him to phone in? And he goes, the club, that's the official line. The club feel like David Moyes is a man to get us out of this situation. We're sticking with him, blah, 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 blah. That's like the narrative that's getting pumped internally as well as externally. No one's getting any information.
Well, the word popped up tonight, dictatorship, which sums it up. That is exactly what it is. It is one person having complete say over fucking hundreds of people in that building.
Yes, I know.
Which not what you want.
I know. It's what's this poker mush? I hope this leak ain't from Sullivan. No, mate, it really fucking isn't. Trust me. It definitely. I will say that it ain't David Sullivan, and it ain't someone that would leak for David Sullivan either. So no, it ain't. Trust me.
That narrows it down.
Yes. Well, we know there's a lot of that there's a lot of that in the club. You know, they get. I will say, I think part of I think Noble's been wrapped up in this as well. And to be quite honest, look, part of his role is going to be positive PR for the club. He's a director of some description now, so he's going to have responsibilities outside of when he was a player. You know, part of his job is going to be the image of the club, making sure it looks good, this, that, the other. He ain't going to be coming out being maybe as brutally honest as what a player would and stuff like that. He can't anymore. He's
what he thinks.
He can't do it. So, what's this?
Does this maybe shine a bit of light onto the rumours of him threatening to throw in his resignation recently at the start of the year? Does it maybe cast a bit of light on that, or is that something separate?
Sorry, mate, I didn't catch that.
Does this sort of like put some context behind the story that came out earlier the year about Noble threatening to sort of rip up his contract and quit? Because this could be linked to that.
Well, the information that I got, although look, that wasn't, it was quite sketchy. The information that I got was that there wasn't really a role for Noble when he came in. Obviously he was spoke about being it was very carefully worded, so he wasn't a director of football. He was a sporting director, so they were very careful about the way that they worded it. But what I was told was that when Noble's idea of what he was going to be doing when he came in was very different to what his job actually was, and he was not happy for a period. But then they sat down, so he was fuming when he found out, especially with what was happening at the club as well. I think he saw himself being made a scapegoat or whatever else, and not being able to affect anything either. Not being able to affect anything. He didn't really have any authority on anything. So
just like a public figure, really.
A public figure, yeah, like an ambassador. He's like the main ambassador.
Cole.
Yeah. So I think that's been battened out now. I believe so, because he stayed. So I would imagine that he is more involved now. But yeah, I don't know. What's this? Adam the architect, Mark Warburton, maybe. His daughter works for Wasserman, and she might know Nick's mate's wife. No, I'm not going to give you any tips as to who it was, because there ain't that many people it can be. So I'm not going to tell you who it was. So no, I'm gonna have to leave it, because I can't keep on drilling down. I've already said it ain't Sullivan. So no, I'm not going to tell you who it was, because it ain't fair for obvious reasons. Yes, but what's this? Noble. Garino says Noble expected to be finding players, etc. Sullivan asked for a nice cup of tea. Exactly that. That's basically what it was. There was no job there. That was probably on the back of a fag packet, wasn't it? Yeah, we'll bring you in. We'll give you a nice title. We'll give you a nice title. So looking at this now, based on what we've heard tonight, let's take it as though that's gospel. And there's no reason why we should think it's otherwise, to be quite honest. Honestly, like I say, from where it's come from, it may as well have been this chap talking directly to me. The only thing, like I say, they were having a drink as well. But yeah, it's fucking shocking. It's shocking, and
yeah.
Does this hamstring us? Because when you look at it on paper with the 9 clubs that are struggling, and you think, yes, on paper there's no way we can go down. Well, this gives us a massive handicap, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is pretty much the worst thing you could imagine. Which is, I don't understand if this is such like a known secret in a way within the club. If all the sort of the coaching staff and the players are on the same page, happens to not be on the same page as Moises, I don't know why there hasn't been some form of hostile takeover, revolt against the masses and just play the way we want to. We seem to be under the impression that we were for Nottingham.
Yeah.
But I don't know why we haven't seen more of that, or if that is the case, because it's weird that so many people can outnumber Moises' opinion, but they're still just sort of like going along with it.
Well,
that's what I don't really understand.
Look, this is not from my mate, the other guy that I spoke to. Yeah. What he said in the past, not tonight. What he said in the past is the reason that David. This is his take on it. So the reason that David Moyes has got his favourites, and he's got these people like Souček and now like Soufal, who we know he tries to get back on side again by giving him a cuddle, as per Soufal's interview.
The quiet ones.
Yes, no. What it is, he likes a bit of divide and conquer, and he likes to have people that have always got his back. So I think that's David Moyes' way of trying to retain control in an environment, but it ain't fucking worked, because his key figures that he gets on with are not the strongest players. It's turned into a bit of a beast now. Like I say, you've got all these world-class players now. Players, I'm not being funny. If you're Declan Rice, you will literally be thinking, I want fucking Piquet on the pitch. I want Skamaka on the pitch. I want him on the pitch. Yep. Get players around me that can pass the ball, for fuck's sake.
I don't want fucking Souček next to me.
No, just what are you doing, Moyes? What are you doing?
Yeah.
It must be so frustrating. And one of the big ones, because one of the most liked players in that group is Manuel Lanzini. He is thought of as one of the most talented players at West Ham. And if used in the right capacity, everyone wants him in the team. Like in terms of playing stuff, he's a team player. He presses. He turns the ball over really well. He's not greedy, and he's magical. We know Manu's magical. He ain't been getting a look in. He has not been getting a look in, and we know he ain't the player that he was before. But come on, if you're talking about Souček, Lanzini, yeah, fair enough. I know he's 3 foot shorter, but
yeah. Oh, he's still got a bit. Absolutely.
Oh, he has. If you're looking to transition to a new game, possession based, pass and move, who better than Lanzini? Who better than having someone that shows for the ball, turns it over really well? Don't always look for the worldy pass, but when he does, 9 times out of 10, he'll pull it off. He's just a technically brilliant player.
And back when we were playing good, i.e., not for the past over a year now, but even at sort of the start of last season, back end of the season before, Lanzini was great off the bench. He was the sort of person that you'd bring on when we were winning, or even if things were sort of tight or drawing or whatever. And even Lanzini could just completely change the tempo of the game to suit him. He would slow it down, and he'd be completely in control of the pace of the game. And he can still do that. Like, even if he's not as fast as he used to be, he's just got a much more sort of I think intelligent sort of style of play.
Yeah, I think he's actually evolved as a player, and I just don't think that we've found the right way to use him. I think playing him a little bit deeper. For instance, if you're playing him next to Declan Rice, playing him a little bit deeper, you've got somebody there who can really manipulate play, because at the moment. All of I don't know whether you saw the Opta report. Well, you might not. We didn't really do a detailed breakdown on it, but they was talking about Lucas Paqueta, for instance, and they were saying Lucas Paqueta has been woeful in terms of his offensive output compared to when he played for Lyon in Ligue 1 last season, and you'll look at that on the face of it and you go, well, that's because it's a French league and he was better in the French league, and he's coming over here and he's just not a Premier League player. No, the difference was, on average, in any Ligue 1 game for Lyon, he would receive 7 to 8 progressive passes per game on average, right? Now, that is a pass from deep that sets him away, that sets him off, allows him to get on a turn and move. That's a progressive pass, right? On average for West Ham, he gets 2. So it's gone down 75%. He's getting less service through the middle to be able to affect the game. We're using him as a fucking... I don't know what we're using him for. We're using him as a defensive as a defensive midfielder. He ain't a defensive midfielder. Yeah. I know he don't mind the rough and tumble, but that ain't what we paid 50 million for.
No, the rough and tumble and sort of the physicality is something we should see as a bonus.
Yeah,
that he's able to bring to, as well as his creative play. Not we'll focus on that and then maybe put in a good pass every now and then. That's Moyes all over. He sort of seems to favour the physical hard work, graft sort of side of it, and everything else is a bonus, when it should be probably the other way around.
Yeah, no,
we should be having the ball, not defending the ball.
Oh no, yes, but that's logical, isn't it? That's. I mean, how can this is the thing? How can you spend 180 million? Bearing in mind, this is all by Moyes' design. Okay, we heard it from Moyes, we heard it from Newman pre-season, where they said we've been found out. We knew that anyway because we were shit towards the end of last season. We knew we'd been found out. All it is, we was very effective at counter-attacking. Really effective. We was getting in behind teams. It was working. Smash and grab, left, right and centre. Boom, 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 boom. We was getting results. And we was good from set pieces. But Moyes, I don't know what he's done that for. But then what Moyes said was, he identified it. He said, look, we can't play that way anymore. I've been given a puzzle I've got to try and fix. We've got to go out and get more passing players to put in the team. We've got to try and go to a more possession-based team. So
like Souček with 9, that's passing.
9 in one every 10 minutes. But how can you get backed with 200 million with Danny Ings, because that's what it is, to get backed with 200 million across 2 windows, and end up with, when you've apparently migrated from a counter-attacking team, and end up with less possession and 25% fewer passes per game. Yeah. How is that even possible? How can that even happen?
It's quite impressive, actually.
It's an impressive fuck up. It really is. It's so bad. It's so bad. But anyway, mate, look, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to have to jump off in a minute. I might see if there's one more person who wants to phone in. Let me know, based on what you've heard tonight, can you see us staying up or going down?
I mean, I was already sort of unsure, but had you, surprisingly enough, being the hopeful one. I was like, oh, maybe you're speaking a lot of interesting facts about sort of how Southampton could be the turning point. But this sort of disarray behind the scenes is really concerning.
I know.
Like, I don't know how there's a way past that, short of them getting him out of there. And if it's true that all the players are on the same sort of page as the coaching staff, then maybe something like getting Moyes out and letting Nolan take over, that sort of thing, could be the remedy. But if they keep Moyes here, I honestly think no.
No.
I think we're going down with Moyes.
No, that's how I feel. I mean, the thing is, I do think that they will act eventually. I think they'll get rid of him in the end. So I do think, for instance, I mean, like I say, this guy's they're playing guesswork as well. They don't know. So he admitted that. He said, we don't know. He said, but I think unless we got beat heavily against Southampton, he probably will still be here. He'll still be here. He won't get sacked. But I don't know. I think, as Sean Whetstone said with David Sullivan, he's very reactionary. There isn't really a plan. And then all of a sudden, he'll just make his mind up and go, bang, no, that's it. That's enough. Boom, get rid of him. And apparently that is what Sullivan will do. So it could be...
Even his decisions don't make sense. Like, he'll drag something out for way longer than any sane person would expect, and then just pick a random time. But okay, we'll sack him now. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense at all, mate. It doesn't. But anyway, I'm going to let you go for now. Thank you very much for the call, mate. It was a brilliant call. And I'm going to see if I'll take one more call if anyone wants to phone in.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Have a good one.
Cheers, mate. Speak to you soon.
Cheers. See you in a bit. Bye.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm exhausted. Right, what we've got is one right at the bottom, English Yardie. I'll put the number up again, see if anyone wants to phone in. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Right, so English Yardie. Nick, to be honest, West Ham is probably suited to playing a false nine. Moyes is the worst. We lose to Southampton, we're going to go down. Hate to say it. Yeah, but the thing is it that cut and dried? When you look at it, there's only 4 points in it. We're not the worst off at the moment. Although we very nearly would be if we was to lose to Southampton, we'd be bottom of the pile. But only a couple of wins and it gets you out of it. There'd still be 11 games left, and I know we've still got some big games in there, but so have everyone else. If you was listening to what has been said tonight, from what I've been told, I just think if you was just to remove him in enough time, I still think we could be saved. Because unlike in other seasons, I know we've gone down with a great team before, but we've got a really good team this year. And the encouraging thing that I took from the conversation that I had was that the players really do want to do well. They're ashamed. They are ashamed. They're gutted. They're gutted for the fans. They love the fans. And Declan Rice as well, who's had an awful lot of stick from us, because look, he is going to get stick. He's the captain, and we pin everything to him. He's our talisman. He is our world-class player. But what is he supposed to do? What can he do? He ain't a goal scorer himself. He's a defensive midfielder. There's only so much he can do. You've got to build the team in and around him and in front of him. And Moyes has not done that. He's not done that this season. Right, where are we? So Ian Gravitt, we need to keep the youngsters on as we'll need them in the Championship. It's a reason why Coventry is playing for Rotherham. Yeah, it's a bit strange how they took up that option. I think that was part of the relegation plan as well, as was the likes of Danny Ings and players like that, bringing him in January, because obviously you'd like to think he'd smash it in a Championship. We haven't gone through and done that, what players we think would go and what would stay. For me, I think Benny would stay, provided Moyes goes. I think Benny will stay, whether he wants to or not. We'll need him. We'll need Bowen down there as well, because they've done the Championship before. If you've got players like that, Bowen, Benny, Ings, obviously your Skamackas and your Paquetas are going to go. They're gone. History. But if you've got enough down there, talented players like that, then you should really piss the Championship with the right manager. With the right manager, you should anyway. Mancunian Hammer. I've seen no reason to suggest that we will stay up. Southampton is a 50-50 game. I don't consider us massive favourites. We have been poor from front to back. I agree. I do agree. The only thing is, I got pulled up on the chat earlier on, from the video I done earlier, where I said we normally beat Southampton. We don't normally lose against them, is what I meant. That was Mickey, and he's right. It's normally a draw. We typically don't play well against them, do we? And they've got a new manager. They've been playing better. They've been not amazing form. They've grinded out a couple of draws, but I think as a team, as a unit, they're looking a little bit more solid than what we are. Oh, right. Here we go. Oh. Hello, Tommy.
mate? How you doing, mate?
I'm very well. I've been better. Well, we'll make this the last call, everyone. So, right. So let's get that off the screen. Tommy, what are you making of what you've heard tonight?
Yeah, I missed the very start, but I think I've basically got the gist of it.
Yeah.
As you've been recapping it. If true, doesn't really surprise me to be completely honest.
No.
I think we've all kind of suspected that the players are very, very fed up. And I think what your source is saying is true. I think actually it's quite amazing that the players have actually kept digging in the way they have. You know
exactly.
What I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, it's impressive. It's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. It's impressive that they've never downed tools.
No.
You know, and a lot of players, I think, in the situation.
Oh, Tommy, I see either you or me.
I hate the way they're. Sorry?
That's it, Matt. I can hear you now. You just broke up a little bit. That's all.
Oh, sorry, but you can hear me now, okay?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's kind of.
Oh, Tommy, you're going again, mate.
To play. Hold on, I know what's going on.
It's because we're on WhatsApp.
Right. I think. Hopefully, I'm okay now.
Yeah, go on, mate. Go on. Say what you were saying again, because it all broke up.
Yeah, I think in a way it's almost a testament to the players that they've, despite the fact they seem to hate the way they're being set up to play, they don't seem to have any belief whatsoever in Moyes anymore.
No.
A lot of them, I would suspect, probably want him gone and out of the club. But the fact that they've never downed tools or packed it in, that they still go out and try to win games, is almost a testament to them. I think a lot of players maybe would have kind of downed tools at this point. So I think it's been a season for the players, and I feel sorry for them. I really do. I think it's been a season for them that there's been really, really hard on them emotionally and mentally, probably quite exhausting, because they know that the next game they're going to have to go out and do it again.
Exactly.
They're going to get set up the same way. The tactics will be the same negative crap with a manager who's completely lost it and doesn't know what he's doing anymore. And I think that's the big worry for me, that it's very hard to win games in that environment. And I think it shows, because the only games we've really won have been at home against teams who've been in complete free fall. You know, have the only teams that at those moments in time that have actually been worse than us.
We haven't sprung a single surprise in the league for over a year. You know, we're not beating anyone of note. But it does, like you going back to what you said earlier, talking about the players who we've all given quite a lot of stick to recently. We've all been fuming with performances and stuff like that. But when you do put it in perspective and you think about the conditions that they're working in, I feel almost more pride for them, for the players, because they haven't. It would be so easy. Look, they're professional players. They haven't got to try. They can go out. They can get their next move. They haven't got to give a shit. If we get relegated, they'll get other clubs. But they're not. They're not doing that. You know, I'm not saying that there might be the odd one or two that have had enough, but they're not. They are trying. They're trying to get us through games and get us safe, in spite of that fucker that's trying to hold us back. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think, look, no player likes losing games of football.
No.
They don't want to go out there and play crap and lose games. That's depressing for players. They hate losing. They didn't get to the level they're at in football by not being competitive. And you know, these players go out, you know, they're competitive. They want to win games of football. They want to beat the opposition that's in front of them. And so they're always going to have a certain level of professional pride in what they're doing. And I think that's all that's keeping them going at this point.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's all it can be. That's all it can be. I mean, but they must. I mean, I suppose when you think about it logically, right? Unless you're an utter scumbag. I've said this on. We had a phone in last week, and when I was bombarded by the Moyes in crowd, which is fine, but they're kind of Uber. And look, listen, one of the more sensible callers, I really liked him. His name was Kane, and he said he couldn't buy into the fact that he thought that the the players have down tools, because he said, I'm still seeing them try on the pitch. But I don't think that means that they're playing for David Moyes. It doesn't, and it clearly doesn't. You know, and I kind of get where he's coming from. You know, I get that he's very grateful for the past 18 months, 2 years for what David Moyes has done. And I get that he can't really understand how it can all fall to pieces. And you do still see glimpses of players putting the effort in. So I can get where it's coming from. But me, in terms of my mentality, I think, like what you've just said, I think a professional footballer will always be competitive and have self-pride, not want to lose a game of football, and will want to deliver for the fans of the club that they're playing for. They will all want to do that. And Declan Rice is a winner. This season will be killing him, won't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, like, he'll be absolutely hating this season. You can see his frustration at times on the pitch, and I know a lot of fans will dig him out for it. But you have to remember, this is a guy, you know, who plays for England, you know, around very good players in a very good team. Whatever you think of Southgate, you know, England, particularly in qualifiers and group stages and tournaments, you know, they're better than the opposition. He's got really top players around him. And then he has to play for David Moyes at West Ham. And I think that for him is incredibly frustrating. And I don't think it's a reflection on his teammates at West Ham either. I mean, we should be quite competitive in the Premier League with the squad that we've got. We
should be.
But he has to go, so he has to go from feast to famine under a manager he clearly doesn't believe in a style of play he hates having to play. And you can see sometimes on the pitch his frustration, where he is expressive, you know, Rice. He does show it. He wears his heart on his sleeve.
We've seen it, haven't we? We've seen him get frustrated, and we've criticised him for it. We've seen it starting to boil over with him, where he's been kind of throwing his arms up in the air and he's been getting the ump. We've all seen that, you know. And I think it's I think it's such a shame, and I almost feel guilty now, because fair play to John, because you can't criticise the players around John, but fair play to him, because he's been kind of defending Rice the whole way through. And I listen, I love Declan Rice, I do, but I have been getting slightly more and more frustrated with him. Credit, like I say, credit to John, and credit back to Rice as well. You know, he's going to leave in the summer, and so he fucking should, because even if David Moyes goes, the fact that board have just sat on their hands and they've put us and that team through what they've put them through for the past fucking 6 months and longer, when it wasn't necessary. They could have just made a change, when everything points to the fact that this was failing, Tommy. Like you referenced earlier on in the chat, the Opta-stats, so you've seen the article. Now, when you look at those stats, right? So even if they weren't looking at, I don't know, they weren't listening to the fans. You know, boring football. We don't want to watch it. Even if they weren't listening to us, but they were getting information from data analysts and data scientists saying, "No, look, this is working. We can see things are growing. Things are starting to improve in this area, in that area. Even in that area, there is nothing to suggest that this is working. Everything is pointing towards a complete and utter implosion for David Moyes in that setup, whether you're using your eyes or whether you're looking at data. So that means that these fucking idiots that are running that club don't take any guidance whatsoever, none from anyone. They're just running it all on a wing and a prayer. We spent 200 million. We're going to be fine. We're too good to go down.
Yeah, and I'll get to Sullivan in a second, because that's the biggest mystery to me.
Yeah.
But just to finish on the Rice thing, just for fans who are still criticising him, if that was me on the pitch as a passionate West Ham fan, having to play for that fucking dinosaur and having to play those tactics and those, I'd be doing a lot more than just throwing my hands in the air.
Oh yeah, no,
or shaking my head. I'd be losing my fucking nut on the pitch, losing my nut. It's like, why are we still doing this shit week in, week out, when it never works?
Mate,
I don't blame Rice's frustration.
No.
Rice is more expressive than a lot of the other players. A lot of the other players, I think, just kind of hang their heads maybe and just suck it up. But Rice won't do that. He demands excellence from himself. He demands excellence from the players around him, and no doubt it has certain expectations of the manager. And that manager is failing abjectly in his job. And of course, Rice is going to be pissed off about that. And I don't blame him. So that's all I wanted to say about the Rice thing.
Well, look. From a player's point of view, if you've got a player that is not always the case under David Moyes, but as a player, if you're persistently failing and being shit at your job over a period of time, you're gone. You'll be gone out of the team. You'll be gone out of the club potentially. So it must feel so frustrating when you're being run by a guy like this. That is, it's like he's just dismantling the team. No, I'm not saying intentionally. I don't think he knows what is going on. I don't think he can understand it. I don't think he can grasp why this isn't working. But when it goes back to what this chap said earlier on, which is, I think we've all made this guess, haven't we? We've all said, look, there's a bit of a correlation. When John came in, not John, when Moyes came in with Irvine, it was all fine, it was all dandy, and then we had those good 18 months to 2 years, and then Irvine went and the wheel started coming off. You've only got to put two and two together yourself, but apparently that is how it's viewed within the club as well. It's viewed that way as well. That Irvine was the mastermind behind the early success, and once he went, Moyes was clueless.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that for a while actually, because I was thinking back to kind of where the hell did it go so wrong, and it felt to me like it coincided with Irvine leaving his role. Yeah. An original role he had with Moyes. So I completely agree. I think Alan Irvine was a lot of the success that we had in the early months.
Yeah.
No doubt. But see, none of this surprises me. I mean, we've seen this happening before our eyes, what's going on with Moyes, and that the players are not happy, and none of that's a surprise. But the big mystery to me, to be honest, Nick, is Sullivan. I just don't get it. I just don't understand why Moyes is still the manager. I mean, is he completely kind of?
It makes you wonder. Ignorant. It makes you wonder how he's ended up a billionaire, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like everybody else can see it.
I know.
Everyone, and Sullivan, for some reason, sticking with Moyes as if he's his son or something.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if he was his brother, you might say, "Oh well, it's his brother. He's going to give it as long as humanly possible." But this bizarre kind of loyalty to Moyes is, I just can't wrap my head around it. I can't wrap my head around it.
Would it be fair for us to basically give Sullivan a get out to a degree? I mean, listen, I don't agree with this, by the way. I do feel sorry for him. But do we think that the David Moyes illness, which it was coming a long time before he died, and then he died, he passed away. Do we think that's kind of, that hasn't helped? Is it? I mean, my take on that is, I feel sorry for David Sullivan. He was a good friend, business partner, probably like his wife. He's worked with him for so long. To all of a sudden lose him was probably very, very difficult. There's loads of other stuff, considerations there from a business point of view. We know about the fucking share situation now. Which has caused a load of issues. We know that they wanted to sell. That was their plan, and unfortunately, David Gold passed away before they could both realise that. But that being the case, my attitude is, as bad as that is, I think that David Sullivan should then have been delegating. If he wasn't fit enough himself to be able to make decisions and care, he should have been delegating that to someone else who was responsible, whether that be. Well, I say Dan Cunningham, but then we learned that Dan Cunningham lost Jacqueline, didn't he? Just recently, she passed away as well.
Yeah.
So it's all been a bit. There have been stuff sort of behind the scenes as well, but it should have been delegated to somebody without the emotional attachment to what's going on. Should have been taking control, because it's all gonna fucking come tumbling down if we're not careful. It really is.
Yeah, and I suppose the big thing for Moyes is that, I suppose, two of the most kind of powerful and influential people at the club are apparently in his corner, which is Sullivan and Noble.
Yeah.
And so, if you've got those two in your corner, then even if everything's falling down around you, you can keep your job, apparently. It's just bizarre to me, this level of loyalty that's being shown to him. I can't understand it. It makes no sense on any level.
No.
Why you would play with the future of the club like this for any manager. He's just a manager. Just get rid.
Exactly.
Bring someone else in.
Exactly. I mean, I got sent a podcast from Dodsey. It was from The Athletic, and they were talking about not directly about West Ham, but they were talking about the importance of a manager and how important is a manager really. Especially when you look at the modern game, and I think to West Ham in David Moyes' position, the manager is very important because David Moyes is God. David Moyes has full control of transfers. He employs his own coaching staff. He employs his own. Well, some would say he was involved in employing his own boss, who should be his boss in Noble, and then played it down afterwards. Called him a trainee and stuff like that. He wants full control of everything. So in this instance, in West Ham's instance, the manager is very, very important because he runs everything. If you look at the likes of Brighton, not so much. Because at Brighton they've got the critical infrastructure there. They've got a chairman with vision. They've got the data analysts. They've got this, that, the other. They've got the coaching staff that all work to an ethos that is set by the chairman. He wants the club to be run in a certain way. It all cascades down. They go out. They procure players that fit that mould, and then they get the manager in, who is basically the coach, who is the right style of coach to sit over the top of it. And this is the worry that we've got. Do you know when people we get caught up talking about new managers? We need a new manager. How about Thomas Frank? Well, Thomas Frank's coming from a very similar situation at Brentford, where he's got amazing stability behind him. The job that he's doing at Brentford would be very different to the job he'd be expected to do at West Ham, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, we've been talking about this for years, Nick, haven't we? I mean, It's just the whole structure of the club is all wrong.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work, frankly, and it hasn't. Since Sullivan and Gold took over the club, they just haven't put the right things in place. I mean, our scouting system was laughable for years. We've only just started in the last kind of 12 months or so to kind of sort that out, where we've got some kind of a functioning scouting system now.
Yeah.
But yeah, just from top to bottom, it's a mess. And there's still a lot of work to do to get this club right. And it's actually quite embarrassing to look at clubs like Brighton and Brentford. They're much smaller clubs than West Ham. They don't have our financial power.
No.
And you see what they're doing. And it's like, surely we can do things like that ourselves. Surely we can get the right processes in place, the right people in the right jobs, and have a functioning club. I mean, can you imagine what we might be capable of if we were run like Brighton?
But look at the Gary said something similar before. Look at the training ground now, and Gary's basically said he thinks that David Sullivan's outlook on the club is very simple. He doesn't mind spending money on what he can on players because players are assets that you can grow, you can sell on. He sees spending a lot of money on a manager, on coaching staff, on his other aspects is dead. You're not really. He doesn't see the value in it. I don't think he genuinely does see the value in underpinning infrastructure, which is it's mad, and it goes to show you why he is a little bit too Bob. He doesn't belong in the top flight of football. He doesn't think he's not a visionary. He's still trying to run us like a two Bob club. They gave us all that spiel about bloody next level club, world class team in a world class stadium. They haven't got a clue how to deliver that. They never have done. I finally decided that Hammer 89 is nuts. By the way, he said get Conte in for the last 11 games. Fucking hell. Jesus. I think he's from honestly, mate. I think he's the Italian Moyes, Conte. I know he's got an amazing record and he's a winner, but I don't want to see any more of this football. And he's very similar, isn't he, Conte? I don't want to see any.
Yeah, he's a very It would. It'd be kind of out of the frying pan into the fire, maybe. But no, Conte would probably keep us up because the players would just be delighted to have a new face and a different kind of training or whatever, regimen and stuff. So we probably would pick up a little bit, but yeah, it would be still just horrible football, wouldn't it? Really. So I don't think Conte is the answer. Yeah, he wouldn't come here anyway. I don't think.
No.
So
I don't think so.
He'll get a bigger job He'll get a bigger job than West Ham.
Anyway, Tommy, I'm going to wrap this up because I'm going to run downstairs and just get everything sorted with the puppies before I go to bed. Thank you very much for calling in, mate.
Well, let's hope. Cheers, mate. Let's hope Sullivan himself or someone else gives his fucking head a wobble before long, because at the moment it seems like he's just going to sit back and watch what happens regardless.
No, it does. It feels that way. It does feel that way. But then, like I said, I think it goes back to what Sean said. I said the same thing earlier on. Sean said that Sullivan isn't a planner. He's just reactionary. He said all of a sudden he will just decide. Bang. He said there'll be a trigger where he goes, that's it, get rid of him. He said, and that'll be it. He'll be gone. So hopefully we're approaching that point. Well, no, not hopefully, because that would mean us losing to Southampton, which we can't do. But imagine if we were, get your puppies out, Nick. Imagine if we were to lose to Southampton and they keep him on. It's just going to get worse and worse, isn't it? I don't know. But anyway, look, before you go, Tommy, based on the information that you got tonight, whether you believe it or not, that's entirely up to you. Let's assume it is. If it is, if you think it is, do you think we're going to stay up or go down based on that knowledge?
Oh, well, before hearing that, I felt it was kind of a 50-50, to be completely honest. Because there are certain teams there that I don't think are going to go. So people talk about from 12th down. I don't think some of those teams are going to get relegated. I really don't.
No.
I think it's less teams than that are going to be actually fighting it out at the bottom of the table till the end of the season, and we're one of them. And if what you've said this evening is true, then we're banging trouble.
We're banging
trouble because there is going to be no corner turned. There is going to be no run of games where our form picks up and we win 3 games on the bounce or something like that. It just isn't going to happen. We don't have a string of friendly fixtures, as it were, either. Like Palace have got some really nice friendly fixtures coming up.
Well, Palace, Palace have got 5, 6 pointers on the spin. They could literally be out of trouble in 3 games, 4 games.
Yeah, and I'm convinced that Hodgson is going to keep them up. They're going to get 3 wins out of those games.
Yeah,
the games they've got left, Palace, they're going to win 3 of them.
Oh,
they are. They just are, and they're going to be fine. I don't see Everton going down under Dyche.
I don't see Leicester going down. I don't see them going down either.
No, I don't see Wolves dropping out of it either, to be honest. So I think there are only a small few teams that are really in trouble, and we're one of them. And if that's true, it's going to be exceedingly difficult. And if we do survive, it will be a kind of skin of our teeth situation. And again, it just brings me back to the questions like, why is Sullivan allowing this to happen? It's utterly bizarre behaviour.
I know. From Sullivan, it doesn't make any sense at all. I've been saying it. I must have said it doesn't make any sense about 1,000 times in the past 6 months, because nothing makes any sense. It doesn't. When you look at this situation, it just gets weirder and weirder the whole time. The whole situation is bizarre. But anyway, Tommy, thank you very much for the call, mate.
Cheers, Nick. Thanks for having me on.
Cheers, mate. See you later. Right, and that is that. No more calls now, people, because I do need to get downstairs. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining me tonight. Look, at the end of the day, I've seen a few comments in there, and I expect that. A few comments in there where people saying, I don't believe this, not true, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not lying. And like I said, the information that I've got, this may as well have come directly to me. I haven't got it through a third party and a third party. This has come from a friend. Yes, so this has been said. This information has been relayed. Whether or not booze might have been a factor, whether or not someone's lips have just got away with them or not, that's up to you to interpret. Personally, for me, like I say, I've confirmed it as well. I couldn't confirm that exact story, but I've confirmed the narrative, if you like, and it was very much yes. I'm not surprised, and the guy even called who it was as well. He said it's and people are flapping their gums now. They've got the ump within the club. They don't care anymore. They care, but they don't care about who hears the negative stuff about David Moyes. They want him gone as much as we do. They really do. They're not happy with this, and they don't want us to go down. And I don't want us to go down. So thanks everyone. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and if you're new to the show, please subscribe. And yeah, we'll see you later in the week. All right. It's never easy being a West Ham fan, is it? But it's never boring. Come on, you Irons.